The space station EOS-9 hung silently in orbit above the burning planet below. Its lights flickered through the thick clouds of dust and smoke. Traders, miners, and soldiers from every corner of the galaxy came here, but no one noticed the tall, silver-skinned woman sitting alone in the corner of the docking bay. Her name was Valara, once a proud member of the Threxian Empire. Now she was nothing, an outcast. Her kind had banished her for one reason, her body. Too large, too strong, too different. The Threxians believed only the perfect could reproduce. And Valara's size made her a genetic error. The council had declared her unfit to bear offspring, unworthy to carry the bloodline of their race. They stripped her of her titles, her home, even her identity. Now she was just a number on a refugee list, living in the shadows, working low jobs to survive. Every night, Valara sat by the docking bay window, watching ships leave. Each glowing engine trail felt like a reminder of everything she had lost, her family, her people, her purpose. But still, her heart beat strong. There was anger there. There was pain, but also a quiet fire that refused to die. That night, the silence broke. A new ship arrived, the Ardent Hope, a human freighter known for risky routes. It carried cargo, supplies, and rumors. People said its captain was reckless, the kind of man who never followed rules. His name was Captain Aaron Blake. The ship landed roughly, shaking the ground. A few crates fell from the racks, spilling mechanical parts across the floor. Valara bent down to help, her large hands moving quickly. When she stood up, she saw him, Aaron, standing right there, staring at her. He wasn't like the others. Most beings looked at her with disgust or fear. But this human's eyes, they were calm, curious. Didn't mean to scare you, he said with a smile. Valara blinked. You didn't. Her voice was deep, smooth, but tired. You work here? He asked. I do what I must, she replied. Aaron crouched, picking up a broken gear. I could use someone like you. My ship's crew is short-handed. Valara looked away. You wouldn't want me on your crew. Why's that? I've been cast out by my people. I am unwanted. He raised an eyebrow. Unwanted by them doesn't mean unwanted by me. No one had ever said something like that to her before. For a moment, the sound of the space station faded. No humming engines. No footsteps, no noise, only his words hung in the air. Valara felt something strange, a warmth, small but sharp, cutting through the cold around her heart. But she shook her head. You don't understand, human. The Threxian Council declared me a failure. My body cannot reproduce. I am not considered whole. Aaron's expression softened. Then they're fools, he said simply. Valara's eyes widened. I don't care about what you can or can't do, he continued. I care about who you are. He handed her a small identification card, a temporary crew pass. If you ever want to leave this place, come find me. Docking Bay 7, Sunrise. Then he turned and walked away. Valara stood frozen, staring at the card. For years, she had heard only rejection. Now for the first time, someone had offered her a choice: freedom. Outside the docking window, the red planet cracked with lightning, its storms roaring across the desert. Inside, something even more powerful began to move. Inside her heart. Maybe this human was a fool. Or maybe he was the first being to truly see her. As the night deepened, Valara closed her eyes and whispered softly to herself, maybe tomorrow I will go. But deep down, she already knew. She couldn't resist finding out why that human's voice made her believe again. The next morning, the metallic sky over Station EOS-9 burned red as the twin suns rose. Docking Bay 7 was loud, engines roared, traders shouted, and the air smelled of oil and dust. Valara stood there, clutching the small card Captain Aaron Blake had given her. It was strange how something so small could feel so heavy. She had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the human's calm face and heard his words echo again and again. Unwanted by them doesn't mean unwanted by me. Her heart fought itself. Part of her wanted to run far away. The other part whispered that maybe, just maybe. This was a second chance. The ardent hope stood before her now. A ship that looked old but alive. Patched with different metals, like a creature that refused to die. Its hull carried scars from battles and storms. Valara stepped closer, and the ship's doors hissed open. Inside stood Captain Aaron, leaning against the doorway with his arms crossed, and that same soft grin. "You came," he said. Valara nodded once. "You offered work." "I offered a place," he corrected. "There's a difference." His words made her chest tighten. No one had ever offered her a place. Only orders, only exile. Inside the ship, the crew stared as she entered, humans, cyborgs, and one reptilian engineer. Their eyes widened at her towering frame. She could feel their unease, but Aaron didn't seem to care. "This is Valara," he said. "She be with us from now on. Anyone got a problem?" No one spoke. Valara kept her head low, pretending not to notice the whispers. But Aaron's voice cut through the noise. "She's twice as strong as any of you, and has more discipline than most soldiers I've met. You'll treat her with respect." That shut them up. Valara began working at once. She lifted heavy cargo crates with ease, repaired mechanical arms, and adjusted balance modules faster than expected. Her strength was unmatched, but what impressed Aaron more was her silence. She never complained, never rested until everything was perfect. Late that evening, as the stars stretched across the void, Aaron joined her in the engine room. "You know," he said quietly, "I looked up your file. The Threxians wrote that your body couldn't sustain life." Valara froze. "You shouldn't have read that." "Maybe," he admitted. "But they also said you had the highest combat and empathy scores of your species. I don't think someone like that is broken." She turned to face him, eyes shimmering under the dim lights. "You speak as if you know me, human." "Not yet," he said. "But I'd like to." Something inside her stirred again, the same warmth she'd felt when they first met. It scared her. Before she could answer, alarms rang through the ship. The crew rushed to stations. "Pirates!" Someone shouted from the bridge. "3 ships approaching fast." Aaron grabbed his cum. "Prepare shields." "Valara, you're with me." In seconds, they were running down narrow corridors, lights flashing red. The ardent hope shook under enemy fire. Valara steadied herself against the walls. The humans panicked, but she stayed calm, her warrior instincts returning like an old song. Aaron handed her a pulse rifle. "Ever used one?" Valara smirked faintly. "I've used better." He laughed despite the chaos. "That's what I like to hear." When the pirates boarded, the fight was brutal. Blasters roared. Sparks filled the air. Aaron fought beside her, but it was Valara who turned the tide. She moved like thunder, every hit precise, every step controlled. She shielded 2 crewmates from gunfire, tore through armor with her bare hands, and ended the last pirate with a silent throw. When the noise finally stopped, the ship was damaged but alive. Aaron stood beside her, breathing hard, watching her silver skin glow faintly in the emergency lights. "You just saved everyone," he said softly. Valara looked at him, then away. "I only did what was necessary." Aaron smiled. "That's what heroes say." For the first time, Valara didn't argue. Outside, space stretched endless and dark, but inside the ardent hope, something had changed. A bond had begun to form, fragile, dangerous. And real Dot, and though neither of them said it aloud, both knew their story was only just beginning. The ardent hope floated quietly in deep space, far from trade lanes and patrol routes. The crew worked to repair the damage from the pirate attack. Sparks danced along the hallways where broken wires hung loose. and the sound of welding filled the air. Valara stood outside the observation deck, her reflection staring back at her in the glass, tall, silver, and strange. For the first time in years, she had fought again. Not as an outcast, but as a protector. She could still hear Aaron's voice from the battle. That's what heroes say. The word hero had never been used for her before. It made her chest feel heavy, warm but confusing. Behind her, the door slid open. Aaron stepped in, holding 2 cups of steaming liquid. "Coffee," he said. "Or something close enough. The replicator's been weird since the attack." Valara took the cup carefully. The heat didn't bother her, but the gesture did. No one had ever shared a drink with her before. "Thank you," she said softly. Aaron leaned against the wall beside her. "You fought like someone who's seen 1,000 battles." "I have," she said quietly, "and lost most of them." He looked at her, surprised. Valara turned her gaze to the stars. "When my people cast me out, I tried to prove them wrong. I fought in mercenary wars. I joined crews that didn't even know my name. But no matter what I did, they still called me unfit." Her voice trembled slightly. "They said I could never carry life. That my body was a mistake of nature." Aaron's jaw tightened. "That's not a mistake. That's cruelty." She smiled faintly. "Cruelty is all my kind understand." Silence filled the deck. The hum of the ship seemed to fade, leaving only the stars watching. Finally, Aaron said, "They were wrong to throw you away. I've seen plenty of perfect soldiers, and none of them saved lives the way you did." Valara turned her head slightly, her glowing eyes meeting his. "Why do you care so much, human?" He shrugged. "Because someone should." Before she could reply, a sudden beeping echoed through the deck. The ship's AI spoke in a calm voice. "Incoming transmission. Encrypted Threxian frequency." Valara froze. The color drained from her face. Aaron frowned. "Your people?" "Yes," she whispered. "They found me." He rushed to the control panel and opened the channel. A holographic figure appeared, tall, dressed in silver armor, eyes burning blue. Valara stepped back instantly. "Valara of House Threx," the figure said coldly. "You are hereby ordered to return to Threxian territory. Your exile is revoked." Valara's hands shook. "Revoked? Why?" The hologram's eyes narrowed. "You carry genetic potential after all. The Council wishes to reclaim you for testing and controlled breeding." Aaron stepped forward, furious. "She's not property." The Threxian ignored him. "Human, this does not concern you. Turn her over or be destroyed." The hologram vanished. The room fell silent. Valara stood still, her face unreadable. Aaron turned to her. "You're not going anywhere." She shook her head slowly. "You don't understand. The Threxians don't make requests. If I stay, they'll hunt you. They'll burn your ship, your crew." "Let them try," Aaron interrupted. "I don't abandon my crew." His tone was steady, but his eyes held fire. Valara felt something break inside her, a wall she had built years ago. For the first time, someone wasn't trying to use her or fix her. Someone was standing with her. She took a deep breath. "If we fight them, we'll need to leave this sector. I know their tactics. I know their weakness." Aaron smiled. "Then you're not just part of the crew anymore. You're my second in command." Valara blinked, stunned. "Second in command?" "You've earned it," he said simply. Outside the window, a shadow passed over the stars, a Threxian warship entering the system. The Ardent Hope was about to face the Empire that had cast Valara away, but this time, she wasn't alone. This time, she would fight not to prove her worth, but to protect the one human who had given her a reason to believe again. The alarm echoed through the ship like a heartbeat. Red lights flashed across the corridors of the Ardent Hope, painting the walls in warning color. Outside the viewport, the stars disappeared behind the massive shape of a Threxian warship. Its hull shimmered like a blade, sharp and merciless. Valara stood on the bridge beside Captain Aaron Blake, her fists tight, her silver eyes reflecting the enemy ship. Her people, her past, her cursed. Aaron broke the silence. Power up engines. Prepare for evasive run. The crew moved fast, but fear filled the air. Everyone knew what it meant to face a Threxian warship, suicide. Valara's voice cut through the noise. They'll try to disable our engines first. They want me alive. Aaron looked at her. Then they'll have to take you over my dead body. A small, painful smile touched her lips. You humans are reckless. That's why we survive, he said. The comms crackled. A deep voice filled the bridge. Captain Blake of the human vessel. You are harboring a Threxian fugitive. Surrender her now, and your deaths will be painless. Aaron leaned forward. This is Captain Blake. If you want her, come and get her. He cut the signal. Valara turned to him sharply. You shouldn't have said that. I know, he replied. But it sounded cool. She almost laughed, but the moment vanished as the first blast hit. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. The crew shouted warnings over each other. Shields down to 60%. Engine 2 offline. Aaron gritted his teeth. Valara with me. They ran down to the lower deck, where the shield core flickered weakly. The air smelled of burning circuits. Valara placed her hands on the reactor housing, feeling the pulse of the machine. I can stabilize it manually. Aaron frowned. That'll cook you alive. She looked up at him, calm and steady. You said I'm second in command. Let me do my job. Before he could argue, she pressed her hands to the live core. Energy burned through her veins, silver light crawled under her skin. The Threxian body could channel energy, but only for seconds before it tore muscle from bone. Valara's teeth clenched in pain, but she didn't stop. Aaron shouted orders above the chaos, trying to keep the ship alive. Through the smoke, he caught glimpses of her, standing strong, glowing like a star herself. Finally, the lights steadied. The ship's systems hummed back to life. Shields restored. The pilot yelled. Valara collapsed to one knee, her breath sharp. Aaron rushed to her side. Valara. Hey, look at me. She opened her eyes slowly, weak but smiling. Told you. I could handle it. You're insane, he said, helping her up. So are you, she whispered. The ship shook again, but this time it wasn't an attack. On the screen, the Threxian warship was pulling back, its energy signature flickering erratically. Aaron's eyes widened. They're retreating? Valara shook her head. No. They're charging their main cannon. He turned to the crew. Eject the cargo bay. Redirect power to engines. It won't be enough, she warned. Their weapon will destroy everything in this sector. Aaron clenched his fists. Then we hit them first. Valara stared at him, then slowly nodded. There's one way. Their ship's energy core is inside the dorsal hull. A single precise shot could overload it. Can you guide me? I can do better, she said. I can get close enough to make sure it hits. Aaron froze. You mean going outside? In this battle? Valara looked at him with calm eyes. I owe them a reminder that what they threw away became stronger than they ever imagined. Before he could stop her, she grabbed an exosuit and stepped into the airlock. Her voice came through the comms, steady and strong. Captain, when I give the signal, fire the rail cannon. Don't miss. Aaron's voice cracked slightly. You come back, Valara. She smiled faintly. You humans are strange. You make promises even when you know they can't be kept. The airlock opened. Space swallowed her whole. Valara drifted toward the Threxian warship, stars reflecting on her armor like falling tears. Every beat of her heart echoed with memories, her mother's voice, her exile, the Council's judgment. And now, one human who looked at her and saw something worth saving. She whispered into the void, "Let them see what their outcast has become." And as she neared the enemy ship, her armor glowed brighter, a lone light defying a whole empire. Space was silent. Not the quiet of peace, but the heavy, endless silence before destruction. Valara floated between the stars, her body encased in the heavy exosuit, every motion precise and slow. The Threxian warship loomed ahead like a dark god, its surface rippling with blue energy. She could feel its hum through her bones. The same energy once ran through her blood, her people's pride, their power. Now she was using it against them. Back on the Ardent Hope, Captain Aaron Blake watched the monitor, every muscle tense. Her signal blinked faintly on the radar, a small dot moving toward death. "Valara," he whispered through the comms, "you're too close." Her voice came back, calm and steady. "I was born too close, Captain. To them, to their laws, to their cruelty." Her words hung in the air. No one on the bridge spoke. Even the ship seemed to hold its breath. She landed on the warship's surface with a soft metallic thud. The gravity fields tugged at her, trying to pull her apart. But Valara was no ordinary being. Her large, powerful frame absorbed the pressure as she began climbing toward the glowing core hatch. Aaron followed her progress on the screens. He wanted to look away, but couldn't. "Power the rail cannon," he ordered. Target coordinates locked. Valara reached the hatch and tore through it with her bare hands. Sparks rained into the void. Inside, she saw the glowing heart of the ship, a living star trapped in steel. It pulsed like it was alive, like it knew she was there. "You don't have to do this." Aaron's voice came through the comms, low and desperate. "Yes," she replied softly. "I do. For every child they said I couldn't have. For every life they said I wasn't worthy to bring into this world." She placed an energy beacon inside the core chamber. The beacon pulsed red. "Target marked," she said. Aaron clenched his jaw. "On my mark, 3, 2. A beam of blue light struck the Ardent Hope before he could finish. The ship rocked violently. Screams filled the comms. "Direct hit. Hull breach on deck 3. Aaron fell against the console, blood trickling from his temple. "Valara, we're hit. We can't fire." Her voice broke through, sharper now. "Then I'll do it myself." She ripped the damaged beacon free and slammed her glowing hand into the energy conduit. Power surged through her, wild, blinding, unbearable. Her skin cracked with silver light. The pain was unlike anything she had known. But she held on. Aaron's voice cracked through static. "Valara, stop. You'll die." She smiled faintly, her vision fading. "I was dead the day they cast me out. You gave me life again, Aaron. Let me return the favor." The Threxian ship's energy core screamed, a deep mechanical howl across the void. The lights around Valara turned white-hot. She closed her eyes and whispered something, not to the Threxians, not even to Aaron, but to the universe itself. "Let this outcast make something beautiful." Then she struck the conduit with all her strength. The explosion bloomed like a new sun. The Threxian warship shattered into 1,000 fragments of fire and light. Back on the Ardent Hope, the bridge windows filled with blinding white. The shockwaves slammed the ship backward, throwing the crew to the floor. When it cleared, silence returned, broken only by the hum of damaged engines. "Captain," the pilot whispered, "the enemy ship. It's gone." Aaron's voice was rough. "And Valara?" No one answered. The radar showed nothing, no beacon, no signal. Just empty space. Aaron stood still, hands gripping the console so tightly his knuckles turned white. "She saved us," he said quietly. One of the crew whispered, "But at what cost?" He didn't reply. His eyes stayed fixed on the stars where she had vanished. Hours passed. The ship floated in the wreckage field, gathering fragments and scanning for any sign of her. Aaron refused to leave. Then a faint signal blinked. Weak, but real. "Captain," the cum officer gasped, "there's something out there." A life sign. Aaron's heart slammed in his chest. Lock onto it. Bring her home. Through the cracked glass, he saw a faint shimmer in the distance, a single spark of silver drifting toward them. Valara had survived the fire. Barely Dot and as the rescue drones moved out to bring her in. Aaron whispered to himself, "You said you couldn't give life, Valara. But you just gave it to all of us." The ardent hope floated quietly among the ruins of the Threxian warship. The wreckage glowed faintly, drifting like silver ashes across the dark sea of stars. The battle was over, but the silence that followed felt heavier than any explosion. Inside the medbay, a faint beep broke that silence. Valara lay still on the examination bed, her silver skin dim, her breathing shallow. Burn marks traced her arms where energy had seared her veins. Tubes and monitors surrounded her, yet despite the damage, her body pulsed faintly with light. Captain Aaron Blake stood beside her, his uniform torn, his face bandaged. He hadn't slept in 2 days. He had seen her disappear in the explosion. He had seen nothing left. But somehow she had survived barely. Dr. Wren, the ship's medic, looked at the monitor and frowned. Her vitals are strange. Not human, not even fully Threxian anymore. Something's changed. Aaron's voice was rough. Changed how? Wren hesitated. Her cells are dividing, fast, like they're rebuilding themselves from the inside. Aaron blinked. You mean she's healing? Yes. But not just healing, evolving. Valara's body shifted slightly. A soft hum filled the room, like a heartbeat inside a star. Her skin began to glow again, faint and warm. Aaron stepped closer, his hand hovering over hers. Valara, if you can hear me, you did it. You saved all of us. Her eyes opened, silver and bright, filled with confusion and pain. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. You came back, she whispered weakly. He smiled faintly. You didn't leave me much choice. She looked around the med bay. The ship? Still flying, he said. Thanks to you. A faint smile crossed her lips, but it didn't last. She winced suddenly, clutching her chest. Alarms on the monitor spiked. Wren rushed forward. Her energy levels are surging again. Valara gasped. Something inside me. It's moving. Aaron froze. What do you mean? Her hand trembled over her stomach. I can feel it. It's alive. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the doctor's scanner beeped, and his eyes went wide. Captain, he whispered, she's right. There's a heartbeat. Aaron stared. That's not possible. The Threxians said. I know what they said, Wren interrupted softly. But it's real. Valara's eyes filled with tears. They said my body was too big, too flawed, to create life. They called me a defect. Aaron's hand found hers. They were wrong. The monitors glowed brighter as the pulse inside her grew stronger. Steady, rhythmic, alive. A miracle in metal and flesh. The crew outside the med bay had gathered silently, watching through the glass. No one dared to speak. Valara looked at Aaron, voice trembling. How? I shouldn't be able to, he interrupted gently. Maybe it's not about what you can't do. Maybe it's about what your heart decided to do anyway. Her eyes softened. For a long time, no words came. Just the steady beeping of two hearts, one hers, one new. Hours later, the ship's lights dimmed to night mode. The med bay was quiet again. Aaron sat beside her, staring out the small window at the stars. Valara broke the silence. You humans. You see life where others see failure. He smiled tiredly. That's because we've had plenty of failure ourselves. She turned her head to look at him. When I first met you, I thought you were foolish. And now? Now, she said softly, I think you're the bravest fool I've ever known. Aaron chuckled quietly. I'll take that as a compliment. She studied him for a long moment. You risked everything for me, Aaron, for someone your kind barely understands. He looked at her hand, now faintly glowing again. You gave me something worth understanding. Outside, the stars drifted like sleeping embers. But inside Valara's chest, a small light grew, one that neither science nor empire could explain. She closed her eyes, whispering to the universe. They said I couldn't give life. But life found me anyway. Aaron sat beside her until dawn, watching the soft glow of her skin rise and fall. For the first time since he'd met her, she didn't look like a warrior or an outcast. She looked at peace. And somewhere deep inside her, a tiny heart beat in rhythm with the ship, a promise of something new. The galaxy had taken everything from her. Now it had given her something back. Weeks passed. The ardent hope drifted far beyond mapped space, into the quiet blue mist of the Vire Nebula. Its engines hummed softly, its crew healed, and for the first time in many months, peace filled the corridors. In the medbay, Valara sat by the window, her skin glowing faintly with silver light. Her body had changed, stronger, steadier, but her movements were slower now, deliberate, protective. The impossible heartbeat inside her had grown stronger each day. Captain Aaron Blake entered quietly, carrying a tray of fruit and nutrient gel. You should be resting, he said. She smiled softly. I'm resting, just awake. He sat beside her. Through the window, the nebula shimmered like waves of fire and ice. The silence between them was warm now, no longer heavy. Dr. Wren says you're stable, Aaron said. He also says he has no idea how this is happening. Valara chuckled faintly. Neither do I. My body was made to carry strength, not life. But maybe this child chose differently. Aaron's gaze softened. Then it chose well. Valara turned toward him. You don't understand, Aaron. The Threxians will never stop. If they learn what's inside me, they'll come again, to take it, to study it. They'll call it a weapon. He shook his head. They'll have to go through me first. She gave a quiet laugh. You humans. Always so dramatic. He grinned. That's what makes us dangerous. Before either could speak again, the ship's alarm pulsed faintly, not the loud wail of battle, but the gentle chime of a long-range scan. Wren's voice came through the intercom. Captain, you might want to see this. Aaron tapped his wrist. Come. What is it? Multiple signatures. Threxian. They've entered the nebula. Valara's calm broke. They found us. Aaron stood. Wren, get the crew to battle stations. Valara, she raised a hand. No, Captain. Not this time. You've already risked too much for me. He frowned. And what do you think I'm going to do? Just hand you over? Her voice softened. I think it's my turn to protect you. Before he could stop her, she rose. Tall, radiant, every movement filled with quiet power. The soft glow from her body grew brighter. Valara, he said sharply. You're still healing. She smiled. Maybe, but I'm not broken anymore. The ardent hope turned to face the incoming fleet. 5 Threxian warships, their silver hulls cutting through the mist like knives. The largest ship sent a signal. This is Admiral Keller. Surrender the Outcast and the human vessel will be spared. Aaron looked at Valara. We both know that's a lie. She nodded. Then let's end their lies together. The nebula crackled around them. Valara walked to the ship's power core. her hand brushing along the walls as she passed. Wherever she touched, the metal glowed faintly. Her energy merged with the ship itself, spreading through its systems like light through veins. Aaron watched on the monitor, his breath caught in his throat. She's merging with the ship, amplifying it. Valara's voice came over the comms, calm, steady, filled with peace. Captain, when I say now, release everything we have. The nebula's energy will react to my pulse. Aaron's hand hovered over the controls. Valara, if you do this, you might not. Her voice softened. You gave me a reason to live, Aaron. Let me give you something back, a future. The Threxian fleet opened fire. Beams of blue energy streaked through the mist, but the ardent hope didn't fall. It shone. Valara's light surged through every panel, every wire, every weapon. The ship roared like a living creature. The nebula responded, waves of energy spiraling toward the fleet. Now, Valara whispered. Aaron hit the release. A blinding pulse erupted, white and silver, brighter than a sun. The nebula itself exploded with light, swallowing the Threxian ship's whole. The blast tore across the stars. And then silence. When the light faded, only the ardent hope remained. Damaged, smoking, but alive, Aaron stumbled to the core chamber. The doors opened slowly, and there she was, lying peacefully on the floor, surrounded by a soft halo of light. Her skin no longer burned, her face calm. He knelt beside her, trembling. Valara. Her eyes fluttered open. It's done, she whispered. He gripped her hand. You did it. You saved us again. She smiled faintly. No, Captain. We did. Then she guided his hand to her stomach. A faint pulse, strong, steady, thudded beneath his palm. The child, she whispered, tears glimmering in her eyes. Still alive. Aaron bowed his head, unable to speak. Valara looked out the window one last time. The nebula burned in silver light, the light of her people, reborn. Tell them, she whispered, that the outcast of Threx became the mother of a new world. Her glow dimmed, but the hum of new life continued, quiet, eternal. Aaron pressed his forehead to hers. You're not an outcast anymore, Valara. You're a legend. Outside, the nebula pulsed once more, and the galaxy would forever remember the day one human and one outcast changed the stars.